Adam Berger is a cultural anthropologist who earned his PhD from the University of St. Andrews in 2006. His work focuses on how modern people create meaning, community, and spirituality outside of traditional religion and authority. In his doctoral research, he lived among and studied the rainbow family of living light, a loose, leaderless network of people who gather in nature to promote peace, healing, and alternative lifestyles. Berger's writing shows both academic insight and personal curiosity. He's deeply interested in how people mix spirituality, art, and activism to challenge mainstream society. His style blends storytelling with social analysis, making him as much a thoughtful observer of human creativity as a scholar of culture and belief. Adam Berger's PhD thesis, The Rainbow Family, An Ethnography of Spiritual Postmodernism, University of St. Andrews, 2006, is a deep anthropological study of the rainbow family of living light, a global, leaderless community that gathers in forests to celebrate peace, spirituality, and communal living. Berger portrays the rainbow family as an experimental, anarchistic society that blends New Age spirituality, environmentalism, activism, and countercultural ideals. The thesis explains how these gatherings function without formal leadership or money, relying instead on voluntary cooperation, reputation, and shared rituals like drumming, chanting, and collective meals to create harmony. Through detailed ethnographic encounters, Berger shows how participants blend political activism and mystical beliefs into a form of spiritual anarchy, challenging mainstream culture, Babylon, by modeling alternative ways of being. Ultimately, the work is both a study of this unique subculture and a reflection on how anthropology can represent egalitarian, postmodern spiritual movements without imposing outside authority. Introduction to the Rainbow Family of Living Light introduces the rainbow family as a fluid, ever-changing community that cannot be neatly defined. Adam Berger explains that every member describes it differently. Some see it as a spiritual mission to save the world, others as an anarchist experiment in freedom and peace. The rainbow family deliberately avoids leaders, official history, or fixed identity, using the term hip story to describe its personal and shifting sense of the past. The name itself, Rainbow Family of Living Light, reflects ideals of global unity, kinship, and a belief that participants embody a divine life energy meant to heal the earth. Gatherings, held around the world, range from small local drum circles to massive annual events of tens of thousands. Overall, Berger portrays the Rainbow Family as a mystical, anti-authoritarian movement where spirituality, ecology, and community merge into a living experiment in peace and human connection. Rainbow Gathering Infrastructure explains how the Rainbow Family organizes large, temporary communities in remote forests without leaders, money, or formal planning, and yet everything functions smoothly. Berger describes how volunteers build kitchens, water systems, latrines, and medical tents using natural materials and cooperation. Food is shared freely through communal kitchens, messages are spread via info booths and message boards, and even spiritual spaces like shrines and sweat lodges are created for prayer and reflection. The whole setup relies on trust, teamwork, and shared responsibility rather than rules or authority. What looks like chaos from the outside is actually a carefully balanced system that reflects the Rainbow Family's ideals: self-reliance, peace, spiritual openness, and respect for nature. In essence, the infrastructure of a gathering is both practical and symbolic. It's how the community literally builds its vision of a peaceful, cooperative world. Rainbow People and Their Neighbors looks at how the Rainbow Family interacts with outsiders, including local towns, law enforcement, and Native American communities, during their gatherings. Berger explains that while the group promotes peace and nonviolence, they're often misunderstood by locals who see them as drug users, troublemakers, or a cult. Conflicts sometimes arise over land use, sanitation, and cultural differences, but Rainbow members usually respond with friendliness and efforts to show respect. The group also has complex relationships with native tribes near gathering sites. Some native people welcome the rainbow's spiritual focus and environmentalism, while others feel their use of indigenous symbols is disrespectful. Berger highlights how these encounters reveal both the challenges and possibilities of living out an ideal of love, openness, and harmony in a skeptical world. Introduction to Project explains how Adam Berger approached studying the Rainbow Family as both an anthropologist and participant. He describes the challenges of researching a group that rejects authority, organization, and even the idea of being studied. Instead of trying to be an outside expert, Berger aimed to let many voices from the community speak for themselves, showing rainbow life from within. He reflects on how his role as a researcher blurred with that of a participant, since talking about spirituality and sharing experiences is already part of rainbow culture. The section also discusses ethical concerns, like protecting privacy and avoiding misrepresentation, while exploring how anthropology itself can adapt to studying free, fluid, and anti-hierarchical movements like the Rainbow Family. Common Spirituality explores the shared spiritual values that unite the diverse people of the Rainbow Family, even though there is no single religion or doctrine. Berger explains that gatherers mix ideas from many traditions, Native American, Eastern, Christian, pagan, and New Age, to form a fluid, personal spirituality centered on peace, love, and harmony with nature. Practices like drumming, chanting, meditation, and communal prayer serve as ways for people to connect to one another and to what they see as universal energy or light. Rather than focusing on rigid beliefs, the Rainbow Family emphasizes direct spiritual experience and mutual respect for all paths. In essence, their common spirituality is about living kindly, sharing freely, and honoring the sacredness of life in everyday actions. Rainbow Anarchy explains how the Rainbow Family manages to function as a large, organized community without any leaders, laws, or formal structure. Berger shows that while the group rejects authority and hierarchy, it still runs smoothly through mutual respect, voluntary cooperation, and shared responsibility. Everyone is free to act as they wish, but social harmony is maintained through reputation, consensus, and the collective belief that kindness and equality are sacred values. Work like cooking, cleaning, and building is done voluntarily, and decisions are made through open discussions where everyone has a voice. This balance between total personal freedom and strong community spirit creates what Berger calls a kind of spiritual anarchy, a living experiment showing that order and cooperation can emerge naturally from trust and shared ideals, not from rules or control. Rainbow mysticism explores the spiritual and mystical side of the Rainbow Family, how its members experience and express a deep sense of connection to the universe, nature, and one another. Berger describes how gatherers believe in unseen energies or vibes that link all living things and can be strengthened through prayer, drumming, chanting, meditation, and ritual. Many see these practices as ways to heal themselves and the world, channeling love and harmony into the environment. Events like the silent prayer on the 4th of July symbolize the group's belief that collective spiritual focus can bring peace to humanity. Rather than following any single religion, rainbow mysticism blends ideas from many traditions, Native American, Eastern, pagan, and New Age, into a shared experience of unity, compassion, and transformation. Spiritual healing discusses how the Rainbow Family views healing as both a personal and collective process that blends physical care, emotional support, and spiritual energy. Berger explains that at gatherings, people believe healing comes from love, community, and harmony with nature, not just medicine. Healing spaces are set up where people pray, meditate, drum, chant, or simply comfort one another. Many see illness or imbalance as signs of disconnection from the earth or from one's spiritual self, so healing means restoring that connection. This can take many forms, from herbal remedies and energy work to shared meals and kind words. Ultimately, spiritual healing in the rainbow sense is about transforming pain or chaos into peace, using compassion and collective intention to make both individuals and the world healthier. Political Impact explores how the Rainbow Family, though not formally political, influences society through its example of peaceful, cooperative living and environmental respect. Berger explains that rainbows reject mainstream politics and instead live their ideals, equality, nonviolence, and community, as a form of quiet resistance to consumerism and government control. Many participants are also involved in activism, from environmental protection to social justice causes, bringing the skills and spirit learned at gatherings into protests and community projects. By showing that large groups can live together peacefully without money, hierarchy, or coercion, the Rainbow Family becomes a living model of an alternative society, a spiritual, ecological, and social experiment that challenges the values of modern civilization simply by existing. Conclusions ties together Adam Berger's study of the Rainbow Family by showing that the movement is much more than a countercultural gathering, it's a living experiment in how humans can build community, spirituality, and meaning without hierarchy or control. Berger concludes that the Rainbow Family challenges modern assumptions about authority, religion, and society by proving that cooperation, compassion, and shared purpose can sustain a large, complex group. He also reflects on what this means for anthropology itself. Studying a leaderless, ever-changing culture forces researchers to rethink how knowledge and representation work. In simple terms, the Rainbow Family demonstrates that peace, creativity, and social order don't have to come from rules or institutions, they can grow naturally from human connection and the desire to live in harmony with the world.